What's going on, Summoners? I'm Kangas, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. Today, I'm taking a look at 9 specific mechanics that only the pros use that you can't too. So smash that like button, sub to the channel, and let's get straight into it.
But quick, before we hop into the video, let's go over our question of the day. What is one of your favorite special mechanics? Personally, I love Bard ulting a turret right before a Rift Herald charges into it, just because it feels like I wasted all the enemy's time when they spent like 2 minutes getting that objective. Really satisfying. Let me know yours though in the comment section down below. So in order to be a pro player, you gotta be a literal mastermind of the game. So it's no surprise that they can do a lot of cool things, from turning tables in a fight to even just optimizing vision control. Some of these mechanics may seem self-explanatory to a few, yet will remain completely blow someone else's mind because it's just overlooked. If it can give you an advantage, no matter how small, trust me, the pros are probably gonna be looking into it. With that being said, let's break down our list of 9 mechanics that only the pros use. Starting off our list, we've got the Center Pit Pink Ward. This small mechanic can often be a complete game changer, especially if one team does it and the other does not. Even in high diamond games, you often see people just failing to utilize this extremely simple yet powerful mechanic. You may ask, why is placing a pink ward as close to the center as possible so important? Well, if the pink ward is favoring one side or isn't close enough to the center, you can actually place a regular ward at the edge of the opposite side and the pink ward won't see it. This can be extremely dangerous when contesting vision and objectives because it can provide a false sense of security and lead to a hard engage or a steal. Regardless, this is a really simple fix. Just be sure to place your pink ward as close to the center of the pit as possible. And if you see an enemy fail to do this, take advantage by placing your ward at the edge. And I'm a support player, so I love talking about vision. A lot of people ward pixel brush to protect themselves from ganks, but if pro players watch the average person's game, they'd be pretty upset about the placement of the ward. You might say, what's the big deal? You just drop it in the brush. Well, pro players specifically place it as close to the enemy jungle entrance as possible, while still being in the brush. This is because it allows you to completely cover both sides of the river without risking the enemy being able to sneak in, which we'll get into more later. Regardless, work on placing your ward a bit closer to the enemy jungle so that you don't die due to a false sense of security. Whether you're a jungler or a support that loves to roam, learning to dodge vision properly is key to pulling off a successful gank. If you've ever watched a high-tempo pro match, you've seen some of the crazy plays these players are able to make by sneaking through the fog of war. They understand how vision works extremely well, which allows them to walk through dark spots in order to sneak up on the enemy. This may be a bit difficult to learn, but there are a ton of useful vision dodging mechanics that you can use. For example, if you sweep a ward, don't instantly hit it. Sometimes people don't even notice that their vision was removed, but once they see your icon appear, they'll run away in panic. Instead, sweep it and wait a second. Another good way to dodge vision is to hug walls in certain areas. Our previous tip about the pixel brush ward can be used here by hugging the wall as you walk into the mid lane bush. If they've placed the ward improperly, you'll be able to sneak into the bush without being seen. Okay, so this mechanic is a bit rare to pull off, but it can pay off massively. In order to do this, you need to make sure you're not leashing your jungler and hope that the enemy is. You're going to be walking up to the enemy minion wave as soon as it crosses the enemy tower, and you're going to aggro it. Then you want to force it to stack up and focus on you, and then drag it towards your minions once they get close enough. It takes some practice, but if you do this successfully, the enemy will miss 2 to 3 minions, and thus have a level disadvantage that you can abuse for a free early lead. Situations where you can pull this off have the potential to turn bad laning matchups into hard stomps. And before we hop back into the video, if you enjoy cool tips and tricks like these, don't forget that from now until the 20th, you can use the discount code RANKUP2021 for 20% off your next ProGuides subscription. Just head over to ProGuides.com and enter the code to claim that discount. If you've never tried the ProGuides subscription before, now is your chance. But regardless, let's get back into some of these crazy mechanics. This next one is yet another mechanic that's only used on rare occasions, but is extremely important when you can pull it off. It is always important, especially to pro players, to make sure that your wave crashes. This becomes exponentially more important if you're in a bad matchup, since the enemy will be able to freeze the wave and stop you from laning. Everyone knows the standard of pushing the wave to make sure it crashes, but sometimes you simply can't do that. The workaround is when the enemy minions start getting close to the enemy turret, you can tank the turret shots and aggro the enemy minions to make sure that your minions make contact with the turret. After this, you can recall and come back to your wave. It's important that you know the jungler and your laner won't be there when you pull this off, or you'll just be caught with low health and risk dying. If you play a lot of AD carries, you know that sometimes it's better to stop using abilities and to just auto attack. Pro players have made sure to always maximize their efficiency when it comes to damage so that they can always dish out as much as possible. This mechanic is fairly broad, but it's all about understanding how abilities affect your damage per second, or DPS. For example, if you're playing Vayne, once you get a lot of attack speed, you're actually losing out on damage every time that you press Q. This is because the animation for the Q to go out and the extra damage that it does not outweigh how much damage you would have just done by not using it altogether. This goes for many AD carries, such as Ezreal weaving in auto attacks between his Qs, to Kai'Sa using her W during her Q to reduce the waste of time during the animations. There's a ton of these small mechanics throughout the game, so be sure to experiment with your favorite champions and keep this in the back of your mind. If you watched Faker back when he made Riven mid lane famous, you understand the potential of animation cancels. Even people like BoxBox show the true power of being able to maximize your damage for close outplays and high damage combos. A ton of champions have these kinds of mechanics where you can cancel their animations, whether it's a basic ability, an auto attack, or an ultimate. For example, champions like Jinx can use their skill shot like W and ult and then flash. This allows them to reposition while the animation is casting and can be an absolute lifesaver. Another great example is, again, Riven. Her ability to do a quick combo like EWQ all within 1 second allow her to save the extra 2 seconds it would have taken to cast them normally. In high pressure situations, saving that extra time and dealing that damage faster can change a game entirely. Many champions have these kinds of animation cancels, and it's best to find them by looking around or experimenting. To name a few to get you started, you have Camille's EW, Vayne's Auto E, Samira's Q Auto, Darius's Auto W, Lee Sin's Ult Flash, and Kassadin's Ult Flash. Some of you may already know the concept of ability buffers, but do you understand how they work and how to do them? I'm sure you've all watched an insane montage where someone like Gosu casts an ability at what seems like inhuman reaction speed, let alone if you think about their ping. So let's continue with that Vayne example. Vayne's Condemn pushes an enemy away from her, but it has a relatively small cast range. This is important to counter champions like Alistar, who may want to flash combo you. Well, if you cast your ability on a champion, it will cast the ability as soon as you're in range. Usually this means you walk towards the enemy until your ability goes off. If you think the enemy is going to do something crazy like a flash Alistar combo, you can actually press E and watch your character slowly walk towards them. If he ends up flashing for the combo, your character will immediately cast the ability, and if he doesn't, you can just cancel your ability Q time by clicking anywhere else. This mechanic works on a lot of different champions as long as you're able to cast the ability on a champion. This means it won't necessarily work with something like a Varus Q, but will work extremely well with something like a Lee Sin ult. And for our final hidden mechanic, we have how pros are able to efficiently clear their jungle camp so they can not only clear faster, but end up with more health. If you're familiar with the AD carry role, you understand how important kiting and orb walking is. As a jungler, it's important to pick up this habit as well. Being able to kite your camps allows you to do slightly more damage and overall save yourself much more health. If you're ranged, moving slightly after every auto is the best way to kite your jungle camps. As a melee jungler, you tend to auto twice and then kite away unless you have an ability to use in place of an auto. For example, using auto Q as Kha'Zix or auto W as Jax before kiting away will allow you to do a good chunk of damage before you stop the camp from attacking you. Not only is it important to kite your camps, but did you know that some junglers can do multiple at a time to clear much faster and heal even more? Fiddlesticks is notorious for his ability to do red buff and raptors at the same time, and also so is Lilia. J4 and Olaf cleared their blue buff and Gromp at the same time for their second clear so that they can clear faster than the enemy jungler and use that extra time to look for ganks and invades. Nonetheless, be sure to check out your favorite junglers and see how to best optimize your path.
I'm telling you, if Nate did just one of these things, he'd be way less heavy to carry in our duo queue games. But we all know that's never gonna happen. That pretty much sums up the video though. Don't forget to join the family at ProGuides.com or through the Discord in the link down below. We offer exclusive giveaways and classes that you won't catch anywhere else, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, comment on it, subscribe. We'll see you all in the next one, but as always, best of luck on the Rift. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one.
You